Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity. What I wanted to discuss today was the notion of providing a location platform for your organization to enable the realization that geography can actually be an impactful source of decision-making enhancement for your staff, for your colleagues, and for your constituents at large. I think part of the challenge is that there's good evidence that GIS actually works as a sustainable technology platform. Are the slides? Thank you. There's good evidence that geography actually works. People can use maps to effectively change their behaviors. And I think that's actually the key to maps being powerful. Maps, of course, are something that's been long established, long before all of us, to be able to promote awareness, discovery, and most importantly, action. The very basic first maps, cave drawings, illustrated a hunt. The next generation of maps illustrated different kinds of tactics, usually with conflict. The next generation of maps actually helped address common challenges from fields like health, crops, and analysis of how people live day to day. Now, what's interesting about all this is that with today's technology, there's been a rapid explosion of geospatial knowledge and demand. As a matter of fact, it's said that 3 out of 4 adults that have a smartphone today actually use that smartphone device to find their location, to route themselves, and to find other information that is relevant to their current location. This is an important thing, and it's actually accelerating the demand for authoritative information that comes from the systems so important to your organizations. The challenge, of course, lies in the paradigm shift from consumerization to mainstream IT. And what I mean by this is that our challenges now are defined by our experiences at home with technology. Your iPhone or your Android phone probably was not purchased by your organization. It was purchased by you as an individual and then brought to the workplace. It's the first time in a generation that that has happened in technology. It is driving new expectations and demands upon the compute infrastructure that we use and deploy to make our employees, our management, and our colleagues more effective in doing their work. It's very much driven by devices, by social, and by apps. Now, the challenge that this is creating is that we now see environments that are dominated by many kinds of maps, many times conflicting maps. Maps can be digital electronic on a PDA or on a smartphone, coming from more of a consumer style. They can be maps that are generated from your organization's own repository of authoritative information, and they can also be printed wall maps or printed maps that are way out of date. The challenge lies, of course, in understanding how these different conflicts can be overcome to make decisions, and how to keep these conflicts from causing confusion or wrong decisions. Another big challenge that seems to plague many organizations today, even those that have been using geospatial technology for many years, is that they still lack the ability to seamlessly integrate maps and geographic thinking across all of their business processes and across all of their business systems. This again creates context and conflict within the organization. What I'd like to propose is a strategy for formulating your location strategy. Simply stated with 3 simple circles. Circle number 1, the use of GIS and geocentric workflows to maintain an authoritative collection of resources which reflect the assets and resources that your organization manages and cares about. This pattern is well established. People have been using technology in this way for many years. The second pattern is a newer pattern. It suggests that location as a platform becomes a pervasive utility for your organization, enabling all of your workforce to easily discover, use, make, and share maps from any device, anywhere, anytime. including on that favorite device called paper. And third, a location platform for development or developers, enabling innovation from within your organization and innovation from without your organization to be able to help your employees and your workforce better leverage geography in the context of their work. Now, the circle sizes will vary according to your organization and your strategy, but I would suggest that each of you consider all three as you formulate a much broader location strategy for your organization in support of both your workforce and your constituents. We've already seen some evidence that by bringing these three strategies together, a much more effective flow of information can happen inside of an organization, promoting geographic thinking within the context of decision making within the systems that people use each and every day. Now, there's some core characteristics of this location platform for your organization that I'd like to focus on now. The first is that idea that I mentioned, providing a platform so that all of your workforce, whether it's your employees, full-time employees, or your contractors, have a destination where they can quickly go to easily discover, use, make, and share maps. This is a key component to success. Failure to address this concern creates friction inside of your organization. That friction will be compensated by consumerization, and people will pull out their own device and use their own maps. That will impact the use of your authoritative content, and it will challenge decision-making based on the fact that it's using different information. Now, of course, maps at work are not just pictures. They're just not pictures or illustrations. Maps at work actually integrate, display, analyze, and enrich information from many sources, including sensor networks, web services, deep analytics, images, and other business systems. Maps at work enable you to quickly see important changes that impact your business. Here, a relevant example from a hurricane that hit the East Coast of the United States, showing before and after, quickly enabling the user to discover for themselves, using their visual sight, to see the patterns of destruction and understand the context of how that destruction impacts their business. Next, I would suggest that maps at work also illustrate time, show status and performance, and support the decision-making process by being able to connect the different information sets across an organization and unify them based on their physical location. Next, maps at work bring new insight that reveals patterns and trends that otherwise fundamentally are impossible to see. Here, an example of hotspots showing shifting crime across a specific area of a major city. Without that hot and cold spot analysis, we could be given incorrect information that would allow us to draw false conclusions and therefore change policies ineffectively. As many of you know, maps at work enable evaluation and simulation that support strategic decision making, both looking in the past to understand what happened, but also projecting into the future to understand what could happen, the consequences of decision making, the ability to gamify the future and understand the consequences of each part of a decision chain. Now, maps at work also provide APIs and sample code and a community that supports the development and stimulates the innovation necessary in today's organizations, both inside and outside. It's this essential innovation which will ensure that geography continues to permeate the decision-making process inside your organization, continuing to make geography relevant and how people understand their world. Now, the thing that is most important about this location platform as you undertake this is to create the destination so that your entire workforce knows specifically where to go when they want to find your authoritative information about your assets and resources. Geography is no longer the secret of a few. Geography is now actually the tool that is expected by everyone. And GIS serves as a platform for this, hopefully making mapping and location much more prevalent and available across an organization. Now, some of the key principles that we see in these systems, again, are providing the organization's employees and managers with a comprehensive view of operations, providing geo-enabling capabilities for other enterprise and business systems, getting information into and out of the field effectively so that information can be temporarily accurate and maintained and provided in the context needed to perform work. Empowering employees, contractors, and constituents with geographic knowledge, facilitating better planning and analysis, and providing the results-driven atmosphere that most of us seek. And last but not least, managing those assets and resources effectively. I would say it boils down to three key capabilities of a location platform for an organization. It's about providing a platform that informs and educates a workforce and a set of constituents. It's about enabling innovation and allowing people to take advantage of the fact that location and maps are so prevalent in today's culture. And third, it's always about facilitating action, especially as we face the challenges that we do today in our environment and our built world. The challenges can be overcome through this kind of education and innovation. And I would suggest that a location strategy for your organization will help facilitate this both inside and outside. What I'd like to do is actually show you some examples of this. A few that come to mind, the Urban Observatory. The ability to do comparative analysis, understanding the differences in this case between major cities around the world, being able to pick different themes of information sets and quickly compare and understand, impacting the policy and the competitive nature that drives many people. As many of you know, there was a recent landslide in the west coast of the US. Here's an example of being able to provide situational intelligence to understand just how devastating the impacts of that landslide were on people. Maps also provide information, being able to understand the context and be able to see quickly how information from various sources can be put together, but is all geographically relevant. As somebody mentioned yesterday, typical definition of a good map is a strong and simple base map with operational information on top that presents one story rather than many stories. I thought this one was interesting in showing the urban biodiversity in Abu Dhabi, being able to take people on a map tour that quickly shows them how citizen outreach is starting to impact. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Boy, I guess those maps really looked great. Well, there's just no way to drive this over here. Okay. What I've done is, for this presentation, I've shared a bunch of these links for you so that you can actually see story maps and the different websites that are available today for you to leverage to tell your story using a map, both inside and outside of your organization. So let me conclude by saying that I believe that fundamentally location as a platform for an organization is an effective way to close down the linkages or the chain between the acquisition of information and it's actually being put to use and helping influence how people do their work, plan their lives, and support the future of the world. Thank you.